She sent a love confession to her boss by mistake. He showed up at her door at midnight. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. She sent a love confession to her boss by mistake. He showed up at her door at midnight. Lyra Chen stared at her phone in absolute horror, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The message she'd just sent, a long, emotional confession about being hopelessly in love with someone, had not gone to her best friend Sophie as intended. Instead, it had gone to Ronan Hartley, her boss, the CEO of Hartley Tech, the man she'd been secretly pining for since she started working as his executive assistant 9 months ago. The message read, "I can't keep pretending anymore. I'm completely in love with him. Everything he does makes my heart race. The way he smiles when he thinks no one's watching, the way he runs his hand through his hair when he's frustrated, the way his voice drops when he's focused. I dream about him touching me, kissing me, telling me he feels the same way, but he doesn't even know I exist. Not really. I'm just the assistant who brings him coffee and manages his schedule. God, Sophie, what do I do? I'm dying here." It was 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night. Lyra had been working late, again, finishing reports that Ronan needed for Monday's board meeting. She'd been venting to Sophie via text about her hopeless crush, and in her exhaustion, she'd accidentally sent her most vulnerable confession directly to the object of her affection. "No, no, 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 no," Lyra whispered, frantically trying to unsend the message. But it was too late. The 2 blue check marks appeared. Read at 11:48 p.m. He'd seen it. Ronan Hartley had just read her confession of love. Lyra felt like she might throw up. She considered her options: quit via email, move to another country, change her identity. All seemed reasonable at this point. Her phone buzzed, and she almost dropped it. Sophie, "OMG, girl, spill! What happened?" Lyra typed back with shaking fingers. "I just sent my love confession to Ronan instead of you. I'm actually dying. I'm quitting my job and moving to Antarctica." Sophie, "What? What did he say?" Lyra, "Nothing yet. He just read it 2 minutes ago." Sophie, "My career is over. My life is over. Why did this happen to me?" Sophie, "Breathe. Maybe he'll be flattered." Lyra, "He's a billionaire CEO. He probably thinks I'm a pathetic assistant with a schoolgirl crush. I can never face him again." She was still spiraling when her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number but answered anyway in her panic-induced state. "Hello?" "Miss Chen," the deep familiar voice made her stomach drop. "This is Ronan Hartley." Of course it was, because the universe hated her. "Mr. Hartley," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper, "I'm so sorry. That message was meant for my friend. It was completely inappropriate and—" "I need your address," he interrupted. Lyra blinked. "I'm sorry. What?" "Your address. I'm coming over. We need to talk about this in person." "It's almost midnight," Lyra said stupidly. "I'm aware. Your address, Miss Chen." In her shocked state, she rattled off her address before her brain could catch up with her mouth. The call ended, and Lyra stared at her phone in disbelief. Her boss, her incredibly handsome, completely unattainable boss, was coming to her apartment. At midnight, after she'd accidentally confessed she was in love with him. This was a nightmare, an actual living nightmare. Lyra looked around her tiny studio apartment in panic. Clothes were scattered everywhere. Dishes piled in the sink, her bed unmade. She had exactly 15 minutes, assuming he was driving from his penthouse downtown, to make herself and her apartment presentable. She flew into action, shoving clothes into her closet, running dishes underwater, making her bed with record speed. She changed out of her ratty pajamas into leggings and an oversized sweater, brushed her teeth, and tried to do something with her hair that had been in a messy bun all day. She was just lighting a candle, then immediately blowing it out because that seemed too intimate, when the knock came. Lyra took 3 deep breaths, sent up a prayer to whoever might be listening, and opened the door. Ronan Hartley stood in her doorway, and for a moment she forgot how to breathe. He'd changed since she'd last seen him at the office 6 hours ago. Gone was the 3-piece suit. Instead, he wore dark jeans and a grey Henley that hugged his athletic frame in ways that made her mouth go dry. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, like he'd been running his hands through it. Exactly the way she'd described in her accidental confession. "Mr. Hartley," she said, stepping aside to let him in, "I really am so sorry about that message. It was unprofessional and inappropriate, and stop apologizing," Ronan said, stepping into her small apartment. He looked around, taking in her space, and she felt suddenly self-conscious about the difference between his penthouse and her modest studio. "Can I get you something? Water? Coffee?" She was babbling, she knew, but couldn't seem to stop. "Sit down, Lyra," he said gently, and the use of her first name made her pulse quicken. He'd never called her Lyra before. Always Miss Chen, always professional. She perched on the edge of her couch, and Ronan sat in the chair across from her, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. For a long moment, he just looked at her, his blue eyes intense and unreadable. "That message," he finally said. "Did you mean it?" Lyra wanted to lie, to laugh it off as a joke or a mistake. But looking into his eyes, she found she couldn't. "Yes," she whispered. "I meant it. Every word." Ronan exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair, that gesture she'd mentioned in her confession. "How long?" "How long what?" "How long have you felt this way?" Lyra looked down at her hands. "Since about a month after I started working for you. I tried to ignore it, I swear. I know it's inappropriate and you're my boss, and I never meant for you to find out. I was just venting to my friend and—" "I'm glad you sent it to me instead," Ronan interrupted. Lyra's head snapped up. "What?" "I'm glad," he repeated, his eyes locked on hers, "because for 9 months I've been going slowly insane, trying to maintain professional boundaries with someone I'm desperately attracted to." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. "I don't—" "What?" Ronan stood up and moved to sit beside her on the couch, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Cedar and something crisp that made her dizzy. "Lyra," he said softly, "do you think I personally review every assistant's work? Do you think I regularly work late just because someone else is working late? Do you think I memorize how someone takes their coffee?" "I don't know," Lyra stammered. "You take your coffee with cream and 1 sugar, Ronan said. "You bite your lip when you're concentrating. You listen to classical music when you're stressed. You have a small scar on your left hand from when you burned yourself making tea. You laugh at terrible puns even when you're trying not to. And you're the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I sleep." Lyra's breath caught. "Ronan," "I couldn't say anything," he continued. "I'm your boss. There's a power dynamic. I couldn't put you in a position where you'd feel pressured or uncomfortable. So I kept my distance, stayed professional, and tortured myself by spending every day with someone I couldn't have. But I wanted you to have me," Lyra blurted out, then immediately flushed. "God, that came out wrong." Ronan's lips curved into a smile that made her heart stutter. "Did it? Because that message you sent mentioned something about dreaming of me touching you, kissing you. Please don't make me relive that mortifying moment," Lyra groaned, covering her face with her hands. Gently, Ronan pulled her hands away from her face, holding them in his. His hands were warm, strong, and she felt electricity shoot through her at the contact. "I don't think you understand," he said quietly. That message was the answer to 9 months of silent prayers. Finding out you feel the same way I do. Lyra, that's not mortifying. That's a miracle. So you're not here to fire me? Lyra asked, still trying to process what was happening. Fire you? Ronan laughed. No. I'm here because the moment I read that message, I knew I couldn't wait until Monday to tell you the truth. I knew I couldn't spend another night pretending I don't think about you constantly. I had to tell you that you do exist to me. You're not just my assistant. You're the woman who makes me laugh when I'm stressed, who anticipates what I need before I know I need it, who makes coming to work something I actually look forward to instead of just another obligation. Tears pricked Lyra's eyes. I was so sure you saw me as just another employee. You're always so professional, so controlled. Because I had to be, Ronan said, because being anything else would have been inappropriate given our working relationship. But now that I know how you feel, he moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. I don't want to be professional anymore. Not here, not with you. What are you saying? Lyra whispered, even though her heart was screaming the answer. I'm saying that if you're willing, I'd like to take you to dinner tomorrow night. A real date, not a work event. I'd like to hold your hand in public. I'd like to kiss you goodnight at your door. I'd like to see where this goes without the walls I've been building between us. But what about work? The company policies? I'll talk to HR on Monday, Ronan said. We'll do this properly, with full disclosure and appropriate protocols. But Lyra, life is too short to let policies and procedures keep us from something that could be extraordinary. This is really happening, Lyra said, more to herself than to him. I'm not dreaming. If you are, then I'm having the same dream, Ronan replied. Then, with a slight smile, though if we're going to talk about dreams, that message mentioned some very specific fantasies. Oh my God, stop, Lyra laughed, swatting his chest. I will never live that down, will I? Never, Ronan confirmed, catching her hand and lacing his fingers through hers. Though for the record, I have a few fantasies of my own. 9 months worth, to be exact. The air between them changed, crackling with tension and possibility. Lyra looked up at him. At this man, she'd convinced herself was untouchable and found him looking at her with an intensity that made her shiver. Ronan, she breathed, and that was all the invitation he needed. He kissed her softly at first, almost tentatively, as if giving her time to pull away. But Lyra had dreamed of this for 9 months, and she had no intention of pulling away. She deepened the kiss, her hands sliding up to tangle in his hair, and felt him smile against her lips. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ronan rested his forehead against hers. I should go, he said, though he made no move to leave. If I stay any longer, I'm going to want to do much more than kiss you, and I think we should take this slowly. Do it right. What if I don't want to take it slowly? Lyra asked boldly, surprised by her own courage. Ronan groaned. You're killing me. Do you know that? Good, Lyra said with a smile. You've been torturing me for 9 months with your existence. It's your turn. He laughed, pressing one more quick kiss to her lips before standing. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Wear something nice but comfortable. I have plans. What kind of plans? The kind that don't involve spreadsheets or conference calls, he said, walking toward the door. He paused with his hand on the handle, looking back at her. Thank you for that accidental message, Lyra. It was the best mistake either of us could have made. After he left, Lyra sat on her couch in a daze, trying to process everything that had just happened. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sophie. Well, what happened? Are you dead? Did you need me to help you move to Antarctica? Lyra typed back, he feels the same way. We're going on a date tomorrow. Sophie, I think I'm going to marry this man. Sophie, what? Details now! But Lyra just smiled, hugging a throw pillow to her chest. Some details were too precious to share just yet. The next evening, Lyra spent an embarrassing amount of time getting ready. She tried on 6 different outfits before settling on a deep green dress that made her eyes pop and fell just above her knees. She left her hair down in soft waves and kept her makeup natural, but polished. When Ronan knocked at exactly 7 o'clock, punctual as always, she opened the door to find him holding a bouquet of peonies, her favorite flower, a detail she'd never mentioned to him, but that he'd somehow discovered. "You look stunning," he said, his eyes sweeping over her with undisguised appreciation. "How did you know peonies were my favorite?" she asked, taking the flowers. "I pay attention," he said simply. "More than you realized, apparently." Their first official date was perfect. Ronan took her to a small, intimate restaurant she'd never have found on her own. No pretentious establishments or places where they'd run into business associates. Just good food, soft music, and hours of conversation that flowed as easily as it had in his office, but without the professional barriers. "Tell me something about yourself I don't know," Ronan said over dessert. "Something that's not in your employee file." Lyra thought for a moment. "I wanted to be a concert pianist when I was younger. Practiced 4 hours a day. But my family couldn't afford the lessons after my dad got sick, so I had to stop." "Do you still play?" "Sometimes. There's a piano in the break room at work. I go in early sometimes, before anyone else arrives, and play for a few minutes." Ronan's expression softened. "I've heard you. I come in early too, and I've heard the music. It's beautiful, Lyra. Why didn't you tell me it was you?" She shrugged. "I didn't think the CEO of a tech company would care about his assistant's musical hobby." "I care about everything about you," Ronan said quietly. "I want to know it all. The important things and the trivial things. Your favorite color, your biggest fear, what makes you laugh, what makes you cry." "Blue," Lyra said. "My favorite color is blue. Like your eyes." Something flashed in Ronan's expression, heat and tenderness mixed together. "We should go," he said, his voice slightly rough, "before I do something inappropriate in a public restaurant." In the car, Ronan took her hand, lacing their fingers together as he drove. It was such a simple gesture, but it made Lyra's heart soar. This was real. This was happening. When they reached her apartment, Ronan walked her to the door, and Lyra found herself suddenly nervous. She didn't want the evening to end, but she also didn't want to rush things and ruin what they were building. "Thank you for tonight," she said, fishing for her keys. "It was perfect." "The first of many, I hope," Ronan replied. He stepped closer, backing her gently against her door. "I want to do this right, Lyra. Take our time, build something real, but I also want you to know that message you sent wasn't one-sided. Every fantasy you described, I've had them too. You in my arms, in my bed, in my life. All of it." Lyra's breath hitched. "Ronan," he kissed her then, deeper and more passionate than their first kiss, his hands sliding into her hair, her body pressed against his. When he finally pulled back, both of them were breathing hard. "Good night, Lyra," he said, his voice rough. "Before I forget about taking this slowly." "What if I don't want to take it slowly?" Lyra asked, echoing her words from the night before. Ronan groaned. "You're determined to destroy my self-control, aren't you?" "Maybe," she admitted with a small smile. "3 dates," Ronan said firmly. "Give me 3 proper dates to court you the way you deserve. Then..." He trailed off, his eyes dark with promise. "Then," Lyra prompted, "then I'm going to make every one of those fantasies come true." 3 dates turned into 3 weeks of blissful courtship. Ronan was the perfect gentleman, attentive, romantic, respectful. At work, they maintained professionalism with appropriate disclosures to HR and the board. Lyra even requested a transfer to a different department to eliminate any conflict of interest, moving to the marketing team while staying within the company. But outside of work, they were inseparable. Dinners, movies, walks in the park, late-night conversations that stretched until dawn. Ronan met Lyra's family, charming her mother and bonding with her younger brother over basketball. Lyra met Ronan's small circle of close friends and began to understand the man behind the CEO title. "I'm falling in love with you," Ronan told her one night as they walked along the river, the city lights reflecting on the water. "I think I started falling that first day you walked into my office for your interview. You were so nervous, you spilled your portfolio all over the floor, and instead of being embarrassed, you laughed. I thought, this is someone who doesn't take herself too seriously, someone real." "I was mortified," Lyra admitted. "I was sure I'd blown the interview." "You charmed me," Ronan corrected. "You've been charming me ever since." "I love you too," Lyra said, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. "I think I have for a while." "Since about a month after you started," Ronan quoted with a smile, referencing her accidental confession. "I know. Best mistake you ever made, sending me that message." "Best mistake I ever made," Lyra agreed, and kissed him under the stars. 6 months later, Lyra sat at her desk in the marketing department, reviewing campaign proposals, when her phone buzzed with a text from Ronan. "Check your email. Personal account." Curious, she opened her email to find a message from him with the subject line, "A confession." She opened it, and her eyes widened as she read, "My dearest Lyra, I can't keep pretending anymore. I'm completely in love with you. Everything you do makes my heart race. The way you laugh at my terrible jokes, the way you scrunch your nose when you're thinking, the way you fit perfectly in my arms. I dream about spending every day with you, waking up beside you, building a life together. And unlike you, I'm not sending this to the wrong person. I'm sending it exactly where I want it to go. So here's my question. Will you marry me? Look up." Lyra's head snapped up to find Ronan standing in her office doorway, holding a small velvet box, a nervous smile on his face. "You sent me a confession, and it changed my life," he said, moving toward her. "Now I'm sending you one, and I'm hoping it changes yours. Marry me, Lyra. Let me spend the rest of my life proving that accidental message was the beginning of our forever." Through tears, Lyra nodded. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." As Ronan slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her to the applause of her co-workers who'd somehow materialized in the hallway, Lyra thought about that mortifying night when she'd sent her deepest feelings to the wrong person. Except it hadn't been the wrong person at all. It had been exactly the right person, just delivered in the wrong way at the right time with the perfect outcome. Sometimes, the best love stories start with the worst mistakes. And sometimes, sending your heart to someone accidentally is the bravest thing you can do. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Lyra and Ronan's accidental love story touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.